So there's a tool I've been secretly using for the past year to create stuff like this, 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 and this. It's a tool that I was able to utilize on my Framer websites, but also in any other video or image asset like thumbnails or social media posts. The crazy thing is that it's a no-code tool that can be used without any special knowledge. Yeah, literally my mom could use it. And today, I'm finally revealing this tool to you. My name is Nandi, this is Framer University, and let's get started. So I want to make sure that this video is super easy to follow along with, so I'm going to break it up into 3 sections. In the first section, we're going to talk about the tool, what it is, what's the name of the tool, and like roughly what you can do with it. Then in the second section, we're going to actually use it to build a little hero section with it. So we're going to explore it roughly. And then in the third section, we're going to also integrate it with Framer so that that hero section that we created is actually on our Framer website. So without any further ado, let's talk about the tool. And yeah, first of all, what is the name of the tool? Well, it is called Unicorn Studio. So if you go to unicorn.studio, you see this little website. As you can see, it's not yet publicly available, but I know that it's coming really soon. Maybe even when I post this video, maybe it's going to be already available, I don't know. But yeah, currently you can join a waitlist and hope that you're going to get an invite. But you should pay attention to this tool because you're going to see that it is just amazing. For example, this right here on the top, this is created with Unicorn Studio, and all the examples in the intro, those are also created with Unicorn Studio, and you can see that you can create these crazy effects with it and without writing any code. So it is basically a tool that lets you create these WebGL effects and scenes and stuff like that without writing code. So I'm not a super technical person, so I'm not going to be the one who describes WebGL for you. The way I understand it is that it's sort of like 3D for the web, but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. And yeah, Unicorn Studio is just lets you use WebGL because if you're not a technical person, you cannot code, then you're probably not going to be able to use it. It's really complicated, at least it seems like to me. And Unicorn Studio does the same thing as what Framer does. It abstracts it to you, gives you a user interface, as you can see right here, that you can use really easily to build these crazy sections, add 3D objects, effects, and just make your web design or basically anything, because I use it for thumbnails, social media assets. So you can also export these as videos and images, so you can do anything with these. So yeah, you just up your visuals with this tool. So yeah, that's about it. Let's go inside and see how it looks like and how we can use it for creating a little hero section. So here I am inside of Unicorn Studio, and I created a new project. As you can see, by default, we have this desktop artboard, which is pretty good for us. I'm not going to change this at this point. We can stay on this size. What we can do here is you can just click the top toolbar here and select the text tool. Click here, and now we edit the text. So we can write start in. Pretty good. We can also change the text size on the right panel. So again, it's really similar to Figma or Framer. Font size is going to be 200. I'm going to also change the font to Intertight, and then the font weight will be 700, and the line height will be a little bit bigger, maybe 190. And also I have to just resize this text box a little bit and also position it to the center. It's still in beta and it doesn't have these alignment tools, so you don't really know when it's centered, but what I noticed is that you can use these positions, just set both to 50%. This was working for me up until today, but now it just positions it a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try positioning it like roughly to the center. I can also just measure the distance from the top and bottom, and I can know that okay, it needs to be moved a little bit to the bottom, and I can measure it on the left and the right, and move it a little bit more to the right. So as you can see, you can position it. Yeah, it's a little bit. You have to mess around a little bit, but yeah. We have this start in text, and by the way, just to let you know, we are actually building this right here, what you can see. So we're gonna have this text that like runs through the hero section, is animated, and then we have this 3D Framer logo with all these light reflections and effects and like interactions. You can see it's following the cursor. It's very crazy. So how do we make this text loop around, and how do we make sure that it has multiple text layers? First of all, I'm going to just select a different color for the text, maybe this blue, and oh yeah, I just added mouse tracking, so it's now following my cursor. I don't want to do that. And so now that we have this text, we can go to the layers panel, click the 3 dots, and add an effect. So now we're adding an effect to this text layer, which is going to be replicate. I don't know where it is. I'm going to just search for it. There we go. Replicate. And now I could just tweak it on the right properties panel. Again, really similar to Framer or Figma. We can have a little bit more replicates, like 15. And then I'm going to also change the angle to like, let's say 20 or maybe 25. And then the spacing to maybe 50%. Yeah, that looks great. And we can also play these effects that we add by clicking here. And you can see now it's playing. We can change the speed so it plays a little bit slowly. Maybe 10% or 5. I want to have something really subtle. Yeah, this looks great. I can also pause it here so it's not playing. And yeah, now we have the text. So all we have to do is to add a 3D object on top of this. So the way we do that is by clicking here on the top, this little cube, and this allows us to add any like predefined 3D object. But the great thing is that you can upload any SVG and extrude that to have a 3D object. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Figma and grab this little SVG. On the right, I'm going to click export, sorry for the pronunciation, SVG, and export frame. So I'm going to just save it on my computer. And then once we have that exported, we can just click here to upload the SVG. I just clicked something that I didn't want to click. Okay, cut here now because I don't know what is happening. Okay, so again, we're going to click here, SVG, and upload the correct thing. As you can see, I already uploaded it. So I'm going to click here to upload, and I'm going to just select the logo SVG. And now you're going to see that it's going to be added again to my library. As you can see, it's already there. But yeah, let's select it now. And you can see it's already here. Pretty crazy. I can start dragging here on the canvas to start rotating. And you can already see that it has all of these reflections and everything. I can customize it on the right properties panel. So I can change the scale to maybe 40%. I can change the extrude so it has a little bit more depth. I'm gonna maybe have like 60% for the extrude. You have smoothing, variation, and rounding, and all sorts of different things. So maybe I want to make it a little bit more sharp. And what else do I want to change? We can also change the behavior. I like reflect a little bit more, and I'm gonna change the amount, the dispersion, roughness, so you can add the little noise to it. It looks really cool. And then you can also change the light here. So you can really spend time with like fine tuning these until you have something that looks great. You can also make it striped, so it has a little like texture. So maybe I want to add that. You can also add like scale, specify that. You can change the color. Maybe I want to make it blue so it fits a little bit better in the scene. And then yeah, that's it. Now if we play this 3D shape, just like the replicate, we can play the 3D shape as well, and it's going to animate according to the animation that we have on the right panel, which is a little Y rotation. I actually don't really want this. I'm going to zero this so it's not rotating. But what we're going to add is a little axis tilt, which basically means that it will look at my cursor. I can also add momentum to make it a little bit smoother. So when I'm like stopping with my cursor, it takes a little bit more time for it to stop. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. Now we can also add a little bloom effect so that everything is just pulled together with like one common effect. So I'm gonna come here to the top, click this, and just type in bloom. So everything will like glow, but of course we can make this a little bit less intense. So I'm going to change the intensity, the color, and everything here. So let me just fine tune it really quickly. And yeah, I think this looks great. And you can play it, so just preview it with this little play button. And you can see that it works perfectly. Now, what you see on the original that I created is that when I reload it, it has this appear animation. So we can also do this inside of Unicorn Studio. Let me show you how. So I'm going to exit the preview, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the elements or effects that I want to animate. First of all, the replicate, and then go on the right panels and click events. Here I can add a bunch of different events. We have also like hover events, scroll events, so we can also do scroll animations. It's pretty crazy if you like go deep into this. It's pretty cool. But what we're gonna do is an appear animation. So if I look at the spacing, so we have a 50% spacing and 25 angle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just have 0 spacing and 0 angle on the start state, and we're gonna animate it to these values. So here, the spacing will be animated from 0% start value to 50, and the animation will take 1 second, and then it is going to have a 1 second delay. So preview, you can see it waits 1 second and then changes the spacing. This is how it looks right now. And we can also add another appear which animates the angle property from 0 to 25. Again, I'm going to set the same 1 second delay. And now I can preview it again, and you're gonna see that now we have this effect. Looks really nice. Now I can do the same thing for the appear effect of the 3D shape. So I'm gonna select the 3D shape, go to the right, events, appear, and I'm gonna select the scale here. The start value will be 0%, and then the end value will be 40%. Now the delay will be a little bit more, so 1.5 seconds, and it's gonna look something like this. You also see that we have a little like animation timeline, which also helps us see how animations play out. And now, yeah, you can see that it will look something like this. It looks a little weird, to be honest. Let me just play it here. Yeah, for some reason, the text is not visible when this whole thing starts. So as I said, it's still in beta, so sometimes it starts acting a little bit weird, but usually by tweaking just a few properties, you can fix it. So I'm gonna try tweaking the end value. Maybe it's the 3D shape that does something. Maybe if I adjust, yeah, as you can see, if I adjust the scale, the start value of the scale to 1%, it's already visible. So yeah, for some reason there's a little bug there, but now as you can see, if I change the start value of the 3D object to 1%, everything is nicely visible. So now I can actually move into the third section of this video and integrate this into Framer, because it's actually super simple to do that. We can just go to the top right, export. As I said, we can have an image, video, export, but we can also have an embed. And if we switch to embed and make sure that our scene is updated, we can just copy this project ID, but before that we should copy the Framer component link, and then inside the Framer we can just paste this component link. So now it is pasted on my hero section. I'll set the width to fill and the height to fill as well, so it fills up my hero. And then as you can see, we don't have project ID, we have to set it here to show something in the component. So I'm going to copy it from here, top right, and then paste it on the properties panel. Now it says scene will render in preview, or you're on the published site, so we're not going to see it on here, the canvas, but if I go into the preview, you can see it's right there. It looks a little bit weird. For some reason this text is on the left. Obviously I just came back to Unicorn Studio and I noticed that the text is anchored to the top left. So I'm thinking that if I change this to center, now you can see that I also can set the position to 50-50. So that was the thing that I was looking for. It seems like I wasn't able to do that because the anchor was not centered. So that was actually my mistake. So now if I go to top right export and update our little scene, we can go back to Framer and preview, and now it's going to be nicely centered, and we have this appear effect. It's just crazy. Like you publish this Framer site, you go on the internet and you send it to someone and they're like, how did you do this in Framer? Like, it's crazy. Well, you did it by integrating Framer with Unicorn Studio. Now, there is a thing here that you might run into, which is the fact that, okay, this looks cool here, but if we have a tablet or phone breakpoint, it might start looking a little bad. But fortunately, we have breakpoints in Unicorn Studio, just like in Framer. Here on the top, I can go to tablet and specify different values and sizes for different elements. So maybe the text will be a little bit smaller here. Instead of 200, it's going to be 150. I'm going to preview. It's not really centered, so I'm going to try. Oh yeah, I know why, because it needs to be a little bit smaller. Now I'll take another look and it looks great. Maybe the 3D shape can have a little bit smaller size, so I'm going to set 30% here, or maybe even 25. And then on the events, I think I also have to override the end value to 25. So now this is what we're going to see on tablet. And I can also go to mobile and then make the text even smaller here. So I'm going to make it smaller like this. Again, make it a little bit smaller in terms of width and recenter it. I can again just set the position to 50, 50. So we can see that here on desktop, this is how the text looks. If we go to tablet, if we make it a little bit smaller, at a certain point, you can see that the text also scales down. And then I think somewhere here, it will scale down even further, as you can see. Perfect. Now we might also want to change the logo, so it's a little bit smaller overall. Unfortunately, we cannot override the size on different breakpoints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come here and just set a different size scale for this. So it's going to be 30, and I'm going to also change the event here to 30 and value. And now we can just export this, update, and we're going to have the final thing inside of Framer. So we have the final thing on our website. It looks pretty good. And yeah, this is what Unicorn Studio can do for you. I'm going to leave a bunch of links in the description because you're going to get the Unicorn Studio project file that I was playing around here with. So in case you have access to Unicorn Studio, you can remix the project and see how it's structured. And I will also give a link, a remix link to the Framer project. However, it's not that crazy. We are just embedding the Unicorn Studio scene. So yeah, I really hope that this video was helpful and that you could learn something. I hope that you will also get access really soon to this amazing tool, because yeah, I think you can do some crazy things with it. Also check out Framer.University for other resources, components, and tutorials just like this. And yeah, write comments if you have any questions. I'm gonna do my best to answer you guys. And yeah, like this video, subscribe for more, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.